Have you considered making the move to Denver, Colorado and the surrounding suburbs during the winter season? Well, in today's video, I'm going over the pros and some major cons that you really need to consider before making the move. So if that's something that you're interested in, go ahead and keep on watching. Welcome back to Colorado Living. I'm Nicole Baker. Today we're going over exactly that, but before we get started, you know the drill. I have to let you guys know I'm a licensed realtor here in this beautiful state. So if relocating to Denver, Colorado and the surrounding suburbs have been on your mind lately, feel free to reach out. My number and email are popping up. I love talking to you guys. But if you're not quite ready to reach out yet, go ahead and subscribe. I post videos just like this one and all about Denver, Colorado in general every Monday and Wednesday at 5 p.m. So I'd love to have you guys there watching all of that free content as well. But let's get started in today's video. Alright guys, we have a couple cons and a couple pros, definitely some major cons, and I'm saving the best for last, so go ahead and stick to the end of the video for that one. But we'll get started with the first con. The first con is going to be short days in Denver, Colorado and the surrounding suburbs, because here is the situation. We typically are starting to get dark in the wintertime around 4:35 p.m. This could cause a couple different problems for you if you're thinking about moving during the winter seasons. One, you really don't get much time in the day to explore your new city. Of course, when you first move here, you're super excited. You want to go out. You want to do all these things that you were excited to do when you moved to Denver in the first place. But because it does get dark, unless you like to be out there in the dark or it's something that you can do at night, you might have a difficult time getting around and things like that. The other con about it getting dark here so early during the winter seasons is, one, when you're actually like day of moving, it's typically a long day situation and it can be a little bit more difficult to move during the nighttime, obviously, because it's super dark outside. It makes it just like, it's a small con for sure, but it makes it a little bit harder. The other con to it getting dark here so early is going to be you're like already in a new place and you probably don't know where you are. So it is really hard to get to know, not just like, you know, do fun activities like I mentioned in the first one, but actually get to know where you live. Like, how do I get to my Starbucks? How do I get to Chick-fil-A? These are just the places that I frequent often. It took a little bit of time to get to know those during the springtime when I moved. But for people in the winter, whenever it gets dark really early, it's really easy to lose your like sense of bearing, and it's gonna take you a little bit longer to really get to know where you're going because it is gonna be like pitch black outside at 5:30 p.m. So keep that in mind if you're thinking about moving during the winter season in Denver, Colorado. If you're like me and you don't mind the dark necessarily, and no matter what time of the day it is, it's not going to stop you from exploring, moving during the winter seasons just really gives you so many opportunities to explore because it really doesn't snow that often. So you would think, I know a lot of people come to me and they're really shocked when I give the statistic, but it only snows about 15 to, I would say, maybe 30 days out of the year, out of the whole entire winter season. So the snow's not going to stop you from really doing much that you want to do. So exploring during the winter is just like a completely different vibe, especially for me when I was coming from Phoenix. Like the winter season there is a lot more bland, but the winter season here is a lot more fun, a lot of cute outfits. I mean, those are just like so stupid little tiny things, but even like how every single neighborhood has Christmas lights on it, every single neighborhood is doing something fun for, you know, the winter seasons. I mean, there's literally so many activities that they have here during the winter that you can involve yourself in, and it's just it's just a fun time of the year because it's obviously the holiday season. So many fun things are happening. Like for me, my birthday's in October. November is Thanksgiving. Christmas, obviously, is in December. New Year's, January. My boyfriend's birthday's in February. I mean, it's like a whole palooza of fun things that I get to do during the winter time. So that's really why I enjoy living here during the winter. And I think it would be always fun for whoever is deciding to move here during the winter to explore and get to immerse themselves in all the winter activities. The next con is pretty big. It's a big doozy. You could be potentially spending quite a bit of money just preparing to live here in the Colorado winter, whether that be snow tires, whether that be a new car potentially, whether that be just clothing or gear for ski, snowboards, all the fun things that we get to experience here during the winter. These things add up. Not even just that, but I mean, just like winterizing your home. I mean, again, a million different things that could pop up during the winter that could cost you a lot of money. So keep that in mind if you're thinking about moving here. I mean, again, a set of tires, I think I paid like a lot of money for a basic, like all weather tire. I'm not like a tire expert, obviously, I'm a realtor, but you got to keep these things in mind. I had to get 4 new tires when I first moved here, and that adds up because I wasn't used to having to drive in the snow, and especially a couple days after the snow, it is pretty icy on that ground, and I had, you know, pretty embarrassingly bald tires. So that was a huge expense that I had to think about when I spent my first winter here. Moving into the next pro, a very, very small one, but something that a lot of people might not consider. Moving, well, let me say this. Moving during the summer in Arizona is miserable. So I would personally rather move in the winter anytime because of the fact that whenever you're bringing all your crap inside from the moving trailer, if you moved yourself, it's a lot nicer. You're not getting as sweaty. It's less tiring because the sun's not just constantly beating down on you. It's a small one, but I think it's an important one if you're thinking about moving to Denver, Colorado during the winter time. Another small pro, but if you're like me, I get so anxious for new experiences. Like when I first moved here, I couldn't wait for it to snow. Like I'm still at the point where I'm so excited for it to snow. Every single time it does, I'm looking at the weather app, like checking the 2 weeks in advance, like, oh my God, it's gonna snow this week. Like I'm just crazy like that. And I think if you've moved from somewhere or are planning on moving from somewhere that either doesn't have snow or it's like really humid, really hot, like during the summer times and things like that, you're gonna be obsessed with the Colorado winters. And I think experiencing your first snow when you move here during the winter is absolutely amazing. It's so fun, especially if you have like kids or something like that where they can like go sledding for the first time when they move here, and like all those like experiences that come with snow that you're really anxious for. I think that that's another really amazing reason to move here during the winter time. Alright guys, this is the big daddy con that I was trying to have you guys stick to the end for. it is going to be moving during the winter can cause serious issues for moving day. So here's the situation. If you're driving your own U-Haul and you've never driven in snow, or even if you have driven in snow, you cannot prepare for when the day it snows. So you could have your move planned 3 months in advance, and all of a sudden, 2 days before you're supposed to be heading out, there's a huge snowstorm. This doesn't just affect your drive actually in Denver, of course, it could affect your drive if you're coming from, you know, the East Coast and you're just heading here. I mean, you could just be dealing with snow all the way through, or so on and so forth. So this could really put a wrench in your plans for moving. Also, if you've driven a U-Haul before, they are not easy to drive at all. They're just big clunkers, and it is dangerous to drive in the snow in those things because, one, whether it's actually actively snowing or had just snowed, there's going to be ice on the ground. And depending on where you're coming from, if you have to drive that back mountain way or you have to drive mountains anywhere that you live currently, you know, it's already dangerous, and then when you add icy roads onto that or active snow, it's like all the bad drivers come out or something like that, or it's just obviously icy and then sometimes people slip. It can be seriously very dangerous. Whether or not you're moving or you hire movers, you could be potentially delayed and not have any of your things. So keep that in mind if you're thinking about making the move here during the winter time. I would highly suggest maybe thinking about what months are the least snowiest. Again, it doesn't snow that often, but if it happens to land on a day where it is snowing, you could definitely be in a situation. Whenever I moved here, it was again the springtime, but it happened to snow literally the next day. Like the day we got there, we didn't do anything because we were exhausted from our 2-day travel from Arizona, but when it came to the next day, we woke up, it was snowing. It was a full-blown snowstorm. Like, I mean, like a foot of snow packed on top of the U-Haul. And you can imagine it's kind of annoying to unpack all your stuff when there's snow everywhere and there's snow on the ground. It's icy, it's wet, it's cold. Nobody wants to do that. So keep that in mind. I would definitely plan for maybe an early December move date if you're thinking about the winter, because it's less likely to snow during December. I would say typical for snow, I think is like, they say it's like the weekend of Christmas. So keep that in mind if you're thinking about making the move during the winter. I would hate for you to have a huge headache on your hands. Last but not least, your very last pro, of course, I'm going to mention housing in this video. There are so many amazing opportunities for buyers specifically when it comes to purchasing a home in the winter seasons. Let me tell you more. So when it comes to winter and Denver, Colorado in general, the housing market here is a seasonal housing market. Typically, I mean, I would say majority of places are like this, but Colorado's a little more intense because of the snow, of course, and it's just being cold. Like nobody wants to deal with that sometimes whenever you have holiday season, which already affects people moving. Then you have it being cold, then it's snowing. People don't want to go out and looking at houses, things like that, which causes them not to sell their house here, so on and so forth. So keep that in mind. The reason I'm mentioning it for you guys is with less buyer competition, because they're not shopping for houses right now, you have more opportunity to see more houses, have your picking. Like you could literally, I mean, now more than ever in general, whether it be winter or not, buyers have way more opportunity and way more housing options to pick from, which is amazing. But then when you get to the winter, it's like double that because people just aren't out there during the holidays. They're waiting till maybe like after January and mid-January. Obviously that is still winter, but shopping during those holiday seasons specifically could be a really great opportunity with way more options in general for housing, especially if the house has been sitting for a little bit. You might be able to get a really good deal, more than you would in, say, the summer when there's more buyers out there. So just keep that in mind if you're thinking about making the move to Denver, Colorado during the winter season. right, guys, that's it for today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button down below. If you want more content just like this, I post every Monday and Wednesday at 5 p.m. all about the Denver, Colorado area. And if you're ready to reach out, my number is popping up as well as my email. I love helping you guys relocate just like I did. I know how stressful it is, and you're gonna want someone in your corner. So feel free to reach out, but until next time, guys, I will see you later. Bye.